Have you ever woken up at 3 a.m., staring at the ceiling, wondering why you feel so empty inside? Even after finishing a mountain of work, posting the perfect photo online, and getting dozens of likes, something still feels missing. Something still feels off. Deep down, you know you're not okay. And the truth is, you're not alone. Millions of people are living exactly like this. We live in a time when people have more than ever before, are more connected than ever before, yet somehow suffer more than ever before. And the strangest part is that no one teaches us to see the real reason why. People tell you to work harder, stay busier, become more successful, but almost no one tells you that the very things you are chasing might be the same things slowly pulling you down. In today's video, I'm going to show you the 7 traps most of us are stuck in without even realizing it. These are not traps set by enemies or bad luck. They are traps we build for ourselves, little by little, through habits that seem completely normal every single day. If you've been feeling like something in your life isn't right, watch this video until the end. Stage 1. The illusion of control. Imagine holding a handful of sand in your palm. You squeeze tighter because you're afraid of losing it, but the tighter you grip, the faster the sand slips through your fingers. That is exactly what most of us are doing with our lives every single day. From the time we are young, we are taught that successful people are the ones who can control everything. Control their emotions, control outcomes, control the future. It sounds wise, it sounds mature, but it may be one of the most dangerous illusions the human mind has ever created. Think about the last time you were truly worried about something. Maybe it was an important meeting, a relationship falling apart, a decision you were terrified of getting wrong. What did you do? You planned, you calculated, you prepared for every possible scenario. You lay in bed, unable to sleep because your mind kept spinning in circles, trying to control an outcome you could never fully guarantee in the first place. And then there are the things completely outside your control. The weather that day, the other person's mood, an unexpected event that changes everything. Life does not ask for your permission before it happens. The problem is not planning or preparing. Preparation is wisdom. The problem begins when you start believing that you must control everything in order to feel safe, worthy, or good enough. That belief is the hidden root of so much anxiety people carry every day in the modern world. Psychologists call this the locus of control. Studies show that people who believe they must control every outcome in life often experience higher levels of anxiety, burnout, and dissatisfaction. Not because they are weak, but because they are carrying a weight no human being was ever designed to carry alone. There is a story in Buddhist philosophy about a man struck by an arrow. Instead of letting others remove it, he keeps asking questions. What kind of wood is the arrow made of? Who shot it? From which direction? Why was I targeted? He wants to understand and control every detail before accepting treatment. And of course, he dies from the wound before he ever gets his answers. That is exactly what many of us are doing. We are slowly destroying ourselves with anxiety while trying to control things that were never ours to control. Letting go does not mean giving up. It does not mean becoming lazy or passive. Letting go means doing everything you can within your power, then taking a deep breath and accepting that the rest is no longer yours to carry. That is not weakness. It is one of the bravest things a human being can do. And yet, almost no one teaches us this. Instead, we keep tightening our grip on the sand, watching it slip away, and wondering why we feel so exhausted all the time. Stage 2. The digital ego. There was a fascinating psychology experiment where researchers invited groups of people to share a dinner together. Half of them were allowed to use their phones during the meal. The other half had to put their phones away. The results were not surprising. The group without phones felt more connected, happier, and more satisfied after the dinner ended. But here's the striking part. The group using their phones, even while sharing the moment on social media and connecting with hundreds of other people online, felt lonelier and less fulfilled by the end of the night. We are living in an age where the line between who we truly are and who we appear to be on a screen is becoming dangerously blurred. And the frightening thing is that many of us no longer remember when that line disappeared. Be honest with yourself for a moment. The last time you posted a photo online, what were you thinking about? Was the angle good enough? Was the lighting right? Was the caption clever enough? And after posting it, did you check your phone again 15 minutes later? 20 minutes later? It does not mean you are shallow. It means your brain has been trained to react to likes and comments the same way it reacts to food, affection, or approval from people you love. It is dopamine, the neurotransmitter linked to reward and pleasure. And social media platforms are carefully designed to exploit exactly that response. But the problem goes far beyond spending too much time online. The deeper issue is that when we constantly perform our lives for others to see, we slowly begin living for the audience instead of for ourselves. A family dinner no longer feels meaningful because of the warmth around the table, but because it looks beautiful in a photo. A vacation no longer matters because of what you experienced, but because of what you posted. Little by little, your real self begins to disappear beneath a version of you that is staged, filtered, edited, and shaped to please other people. Professor Sherry Turkle from MIT has spent more than 30 years studying the relationship between humans and technology. She calls this phenomenon alone together. We sit beside each other physically, yet each person is trapped inside their own digital world. We share more than ever before, yet feel understood less than ever before. And the cruelest part of this trap is that it feeds itself. The lonelier and emptier we feel, the more we turn to the internet for validation. The more time we spend online, the further we drift from who we really are. The cycle keeps spinning endlessly. The real question is not whether you should delete social media entirely. The real question is this: do you still know who you are when the phone is turned off? Can your life still feel meaningful, even when no one else is watching? If those questions make you stop and think for a moment, then perhaps this trap has already rooted itself deeper than you realized. Stage 3. Addiction to busyness. Ask almost anyone around you a simple question. How have you been lately? The answer you hear most often will not be, "I'm good," or "I'm happy." The answer you will hear most is, "I've been really busy." And strangely enough, people rarely say it with exhaustion. They say it with something closer to pride. Busyness has become the language of success in the modern world. If you are busy, it means you matter. If you have no free time, it means people need you. If your schedule is packed from morning to night, it must mean your life is important. Somewhere along the way, we turned exhaustion into a badge of honor and started wearing it proudly. But there is a truth very few people are willing to face. A huge amount of what we call being busy is not truly urgent, not truly important, and often does not need to happen right away at all. We are not always busy because life demands it from us. We are busy because we are afraid of what happens when we stop. Imagine an entire afternoon with nothing to do, no work waiting for you, no phone to check, no plans to follow, just you sitting alone with yourself. For many people, that idea feels deeply uncomfortable. It creates restlessness, anxiety, even a quiet sense of panic. And to escape that feeling, we immediately search for something to do. Clean the house, scroll online, text someone, anything, as long as we do not have to sit still. The French philosopher Blaise Pascal wrote in the 17th century that all of humanity's problems stem from man's inability to sit quietly alone in a room. Those words were written more than 300 years ago, yet they may be more true today than ever before. When we constantly fill every moment with activity, we are often running from something. Maybe it is loneliness. Maybe it is the feeling that our lives lack meaning. Maybe it is the questions we do not want to answer, questions like, What do I truly want? Who am I really living for? Is this path actually the one I chose for myself? Busyness becomes the perfect excuse to never face those questions. Research from Harvard University found that the human mind wanders away from the present moment nearly 47% of the time we are awake. Almost half of our lives are spent mentally somewhere else, instead of fully experiencing the moment we are in. And ironically, the busiest people are often the least present, because their minds are always racing ahead toward the next task, the next obligation, the next thing to get done. Real rest is not lying in bed scrolling through your phone after work. Real rest is allowing yourself to exist without needing to constantly prove your worth through productivity. And that is something modern people are slowly forgetting how to do. Stage 4, consumer spirituality. Take a look at your bookshelf. How many self-help books are sitting there with perfectly untouched spines because they were never truly open? Look at your phone. How many meditation apps have you downloaded, only to stop using them after a few days? And if you are honest with yourself, you will realize that buying the book, downloading the app, signing up for the course already gave you a very real feeling of relief. A feeling that you were changing. A feeling that you were moving forward, even though in reality, nothing had changed yet. This is the trap of consumer spirituality, and it is more subtle than almost any other trap because it hides beneath the appearance of self-improvement. Over the past few decades, the self-help and spiritual growth industry has exploded into a global market worth tens of billions of dollars every year. There are books about slowing down, courses about connecting with your inner self, meditation retreats in Bali costing thousands of dollars a week, crystals, tarot cards, incense, and endless products beautifully packaged with promises that they will help you find yourself. And we buy them. We buy a lot of them. But there is one question almost nobody in that industry wants you to ask. If these things truly work the way they promise, why do we always need to keep buying more? Psychologist Barry Schwartz, in his famous work on the paradox of choice, explained that when people are given too many options, they often become less likely to act, not more. They become paralyzed by abundance. And in the world of consumer spirituality, that is exactly what is happening. Too many methods, too many teachers, too many paths all claiming to be the right one. Instead of going deeply into one path, we keep jumping from one thing to another, excited at first, then abandoning it as soon as the novelty fades away. This is not entirely your fault. The human brain is wired to seek novelty because, in prehistoric times, new things often meant new opportunities for survival. But in the modern world, that instinct is constantly exploited to keep us consuming without ever truly absorbing what we already have. The truth is that real transformation is not glamorous, and it is not easy to sell. It is not hidden inside another unread book. It is not waiting in a retreat you never finished. It lives in the 15 quiet minutes you force yourself to sit still each morning, even when you do not feel like it. It lives in practicing one small truth you have known for years, but keep postponing. It lives in patient repetition, silent effort, and work that often feels painfully ordinary. Zen master Thich Nhat Hanh once said that even washing dishes can become meditation if you are fully present while doing it. You do not need to buy anything more. You do not need to travel somewhere far away. You only need to truly be present with what is happening right now. And perhaps that is exactly why nobody is trying very hard to sell it to you. Stage 5. Avoiding the shadow. There is a story about a man who lived in a beautiful house, but there was one room he never opened. He told himself there was nothing important inside, that it was better left closed, that as long as he never looked inside, everything would be fine. But every night, when the house became silent, he could hear knocking coming from behind that door. And every night, he turned the music up louder so he would not have to hear it. We all have that room somewhere inside our minds. Carl Jung, One of the greatest psychologists of the modern era called it the shadow. Despite how dark the name sounds, the shadow is not evil. It is simply the collection of all the parts of ourselves we do not want to admit exist. The jealousy, the fear, the anger we never released, the pain we never healed, the desires we feel ashamed of, the failures we try to forget. From childhood, many of us were taught that these emotions were wrong and needed to be hidden away. Do not cry. Do not be angry. Do not be jealous. Be positive. Be happy. And because we wanted love and acceptance, we learned to lock those parts of ourselves inside that hidden room. We convinced ourselves the problem had been solved, when in reality, we had only buried it. But buried things do not disappear. They simply find other ways to return. Have you ever exploded in anger over something small and wondered why your reaction felt so intense? Have you ever sabotaged something good in your life without understanding the reason? Have you ever repeated the same unhealthy relationship patterns even though you knew they were hurting you? That is not random. That is the shadow knocking at the door. And because you refuse to open it, it finds its own way out, usually in the moments when you are least aware and least in control. Jung once wrote, "Until you make the unconscious conscious, it will direct your life and you will call it fate." In other words, the parts of ourselves we refuse to face quietly shape our choices, reactions, and relationships without us even realizing it. Facing the darkness does not mean drowning in it. It does not mean spending every day crying or endlessly digging through your past until you become trapped there. Facing the shadow simply means having the courage to admit those parts of you exist. That your anger has a reason. That your pain deserves to be felt instead of denied. That you are a complete human being made of both light and darkness. And that does not make you less worthy. It makes you more human. The locked room inside your mind does not have to stay closed forever. The key has been in your hands the entire time. And sometimes, the moment you finally place your hand on the doorknob, you realize the thing waiting inside was never as terrifying as you imagined. It was only waiting to be seen. Stage 6, the worship of productivity. There is a question that, if you ask a 5-year-old child, they can answer instantly without hesitation. But if you ask an adult, they will pause, stare into the distance, and take a long time to respond. The question is, what did you do today simply because you enjoyed it? A child will answer immediately. They ran around outside. They drew a picture that looked like nothing at all. They lay on the grass watching clouds and imagining stories. They did those things not because they were useful, not because they produced results, simply because they brought joy. But adults are different. Adults have learned that joy must be justified, that time is money, that if an activity does not create value, then it is a waste. And that is where we begin falling into the trap of productivity worship. Productivity itself is not evil. Working hard, achieving goals, and creating things that help ourselves or others can be deeply meaningful. But there is a very thin line between being productive and turning productivity into a religion you serve every single day. And once we cross that line without realizing it, productivity stops being a tool for living well. It becomes the measure of whether we deserve to exist at all. Researcher Brené Brown, after interviewing thousands of people over many years, discovered something deeply troubling. Many of us cannot separate our self-worth from our achievements. When we accomplish a lot, we feel valuable. When we accomplish nothing, we feel worthless. Not because we are lazy, not because we are weak, but because we were conditioned from an early age to believe that love and acceptance must be earned through performance. Think back to school when you were young. When you got high grades, your parents were proud, your teachers praised you, your classmates admired you. When your grades were poor, the atmosphere at home felt a little heavier. Nobody needed to say it directly. The message still sank in clearly. Do well, and you are loved more easily. Fail, and that love suddenly feels conditional. And so we carry that invisible belief into adulthood. We continue trying to prove our worth through endless to-do lists, salaries, promotions, and the number of projects we complete each week. The result is an entire generation of exhausted people who are terrified of slowing down. Because stopping means there is nothing left to prove. And when there is nothing left to prove, the most frightening question finally appears. Without all these achievements, who am I? German philosopher Joseph Pieper warned about this as early as 1948 in his book on leisure. He argued that a society incapable of true rest is a society slowly destroying itself. And by leisure, he did not mean laziness. He meant the ability to exist without constantly needing to justify your existence through productivity. It is only in that state that human beings can reconnect with their deeper selves, with the beauty of the world, and with questions far greater than how many tasks they completed in a single day. You are not the sum of your accomplishments. You are the human being behind them. And that person deserves to exist, even on the days when nothing gets done at all. Stage 7, connected yet lonely. In 2023, U.S. Surgeon General Vivek Murthy did something no public health official in America had ever done before. He officially declared loneliness a public health crisis. Not cancer, not diabetes, not heart disease. Loneliness. He pointed out that the damage loneliness causes to the human body is comparable to smoking 15 cigarettes a day and increases the risk of early death by nearly 30%. And this is happening in the very era when human beings are more connected than at any other point in history. That is not a coincidence. It is a consequence. We have confused connection with contact. Contact is seeing someone's name on a screen, reading a few of their updates, tapping the like button, and moving on. Real connection is sitting across from another human being and feeling that they truly understand what you are saying, not just the words themselves, but the emotions hiding underneath them. One is the exchange of information. The other is the exchange of souls. And we are living in a world overflowing with contact while starving for genuine connection. Think about the conversations you had this past week. How many were just polite exchanges where neither person truly expected an honest answer? How many times did you actually say what you were really feeling inside instead of saying what you thought the other person wanted to hear? For most people, the real answer is heartbreaking. There is a deeper reason this keeps happening. Real connection requires vulnerability. It asks you to let another person see the imperfect parts of you, the fears you rarely speak out loud, the hidden corners of yourself you are not sure anyone would accept. And in a world where appearances matter more than ever, vulnerability feels more dangerous than ever. So we keep our distance. We talk, but we do not truly speak. We sit beside each other, but we are not truly present. Researcher Brené Brown, after conducting thousands of interviews, came to a powerful conclusion. Genuine human connection cannot exist without vulnerability. The two are inseparable. You cannot fully protect yourself and fully be loved at the same time. One of those things must be risked. And most of us, terrified of rejection, choose self-protection instead. Then we wonder why we feel lonely, even when we are surrounded by people. Real loneliness is not the absence of people around you. Real loneliness is being in a room full of people while nobody truly knows who you are. You can have thousands of followers online. You can go out with friends every weekend. You can spend all day messaging dozens of people and still lie awake at night feeling like nobody truly understands you. That feeling is not lying to you. What we are starving for is not more followers or more social interaction. What we are starving for is to be truly seen. To have another human being know the ugliest, most fragile parts of us and still choose to stay. No algorithm can provide that. No app feature can replace it. No like button can create it. And that is why, even as the world becomes more connected than ever before, the human heart continues to grow lonelier and lonelier.